And now we're heading west down I-40 to the great state of Arkansas, where we're catching up with University of Arkansas's Dr. Jason Kelley. Dr. Kelley, tell us about the corn crop across Arkansas.
Yeah, Dave, we overall we had a really pretty good corn crop. This year we ended up planting 850,000 acres according to the last USDA numbers. And, that's not a record, but it's almost a record. And so 890,000, I believe, was the record. But before that, you'd have to go back to early 1950s before we had that kind of acreage. So I think we had the second highest acreage in the last 70 years or so. And so, we had a lot more corn, and I think part of that is we had a good planting window. So March, April were relatively dry for us, and that's really what we got to have to get the corn acres planted timely. And so this year we got everything planted really timely. The season wise, we're essentially done with harvest right now. There still may be a little bit of corn out there right now, but we're essentially done. And, the yield estimates are coming in about 180 bushels per acre, which is pretty good. I think most people don't realize that a majority of our corn can be irrigated. So probably maybe more so than many of our surrounding states. So that for us helps take, when we have a dry summer, which we did have a dry summer this year, that the ability to irrigate helps take out those ups and downs that we typically get. And so, 180 bushel crop is really about our 10-year average on yield. And so I think initially I thought we would probably have a little bit higher yield than that, and in the end those numbers still may go up a little bit. But we had some windstorms there in June that caused a lot of green snap, a lot of lodging in certain areas, and I think statewide that probably pulled the yield in a little bit for us.
As you made it through the 23 corn crop across Arkansas, did you see much disease pressure, insect pressure across the crop?
Insect wise, we didn't. And so, for us, corn borers is really probably the insect that we're most concerned about. And so, of course, we got BT corn that takes care of a lot of the corn borers, but we do have a lot of conventional corn in some areas. So non-GMO corn, especially in parts of central and northeast Arkansas. So, those areas we might have 10 or 15% of the acreage that is non-GMO. So the producers historically have got a premium for that non-GMO corn. So that hence we're growing that. But be aware of it. Overall insect pressure was relatively low. Foliar diseases, I know that's always a concern for us in our environment, right? I think statewide we probably average close to 50 inches of rainfall a year. And so, warm conditions, when we do get the rainfall, we do have some disease pressure usually. So this year, relatively dry. So April, May, June, July, we got some rainfall in July, but southern rust is our main worry. Always seems like if we get a wet April, May, June, especially points further south of us, it blows in here. That's when we get a lot of stuff coming in. And this year, it didn't show up till early July. So it really showed up kind of the tail end of the crop. And so, a lot of our corn is sprayed with foliar fungicides just as a preventative measure. But, actual disease-wise, there wasn't that much out there. So, the diseases we typically have would be southern rust. That's our main concern. We do have northern corn leaf blight some years, certain hybrids, gray leaf spot, and southern corn leaf blight. Those are really the four main foliar diseases. And, of course, we have stalk rots sometimes that cause issues, and we had some of that this year as well. Fortunately, the disease we have not found yet is tar spot. That's something that, you hear about in the news and all that. But fortunately, the tar spot is still a ways to the north or east of us. So that's something we haven't dealt with yet.
How does Arkansas corn, Oklahoma corn, Tennessee corn, Louisiana corn, how does that vary from the I-state corn, the northern corn crop?
Well, I think it's different. The southern corn crop, whether it's Oklahoma, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, we're growing different hybrids. Most of our corn, at least in Arkansas, is probably 115, 118-day hybrids. So, there may be some hybrids that are planted here that are also planted in Illinois or Indiana, but some of them aren't. And so, typically we're growing full season hybrids, and that's typically where our highest yields are. And so, we've done some planting or some studies looking at relative maturity on corn, and in our environment where we're able to irrigate and get top yields, anything less than say 110, 112 day hybrids, just not going to, the yield's just not going to be there. And so that's why our producers typically plant full season hybrids. And so, but yeah, there's some hybrids that do well here and some that don't. And so I know one of the reasons why our corn acreage has went up is that I think we've finally got some adapted hybrids that were selected in this area that do well here. And so, historically our yields have went up in the last 20 years quite a little bit. And so I think part of that is due to management styles, but also we've gotten some hybrids that perform well in our environment.
And one of the great things about your position is that you talk to the producers across Arkansas, and you're able to help work out new research to help those producers across the state. What kind of research are you conducting for corn producers across Arkansas?
This coming year, like you say, looking to figure out where that next 20 bushel is going to come from. So this past year, we're doing a lot of plant population work, some nitrogen work. Nitrogen, we would think that, yields go up, nitrogen goes up. Well, if we're a little more efficient with it, maybe we don't need more nitrogen. Maybe we just need to put it out a little different timing. So, a lot of our focus, we've got a lot of different projects going. So we've got agronomic projects, some of the things that I typically do, plant populations, planting date studies, that sort of thing. We've got fertility studies, weed control, economics, insects. So we've got research going on basically in all different facets of production that our farmers need to be looking at. One thing that was really evident this year was the timeliness of harvest and planting. So, we talk about getting the crop in very timely, and we did that this year. A lot. Over time, people have got larger equipment. We've got speed planters that we can plant that 8 to 10 miles an hour instead of our normal 3 or 4. So, it doesn't take very long to get the corn crop in, which is good. We can get it planted during the optimum time. And I think we're doing that. And this year, I alluded to earlier that we get a lot of rainfall, typically 50 inches of rain typically. But, this harvest, we had some fields I know that from maturity to harvest didn't have any rainfall at all. And so a lot of times we got everything harvested timely, didn't have wind events. I know one year, or I guess there's always a concern is to have a tropical storm come up from the Gulf and come up, and that's where we have some issues. Some years that big windstorm or lots of rainfall, lodging problems. So we just didn't have that this year. We got a really good harvest window.
Well, Dr. Kelley, thank you so much for going on with us and talking with us about the corn crop across the great state of Arkansas.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity, Dave, and enjoyed the program.
And of course, we want to thank you for watching this episode of the AgNow Roundup.